Well, we are back at it once again, continuing on with the Hobbyboss 1/72nd scale F-22 Raptor. Well, today it's all about the weapons. It's all about the weapons bays. We're going to get all the photo etch done, painted, weathered, everything set up, everything except for the actual armament. We're going to get it done today. I want to thank all of you. Thank you so very, very much for watching the videos, subscribing. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing, giving this video a like, and leaving a comment down in the comment section below. It truly helps me out, and I appreciate it very, very much, and I want to thank all of you for watching. Most of all, thank you so much for your patience. I know it's been a long time since the last video. I truly apologize. I unfortunately have to actually have a real job, and I can't do this all the time. And it's gotten in the way for the most part. But I am back. We're going to press on. I hope that the next videos in this series are going to be coming out in a much more reasonable time frame. So stay tuned. I'll catch you right back after the intro. Coming up on Building History. Well, we are back. Welcome back, hobby history fans. Thank you so much again for joining me on this episode. We are working on the weapons bays. I knew I wanted the centerpiece of this build. I knew I had wanted the center focus of this build to be the weapons bay. And knowing that, I went ahead and bought the Eduard photo-etch set. It was built for the Italeri kit, or Italeri kit, however you pronounce it. It was built for the Italeri kit, which means a lot of the stuff didn't fit. Some of it did, but just the dimensions were just a little bit off, so I had to do a lot of work to get it to fit. Now, these weapons bays on the Hobbyboss kit are bare. They're very, very bare. There's not a lot of detail in them. Even adding the photo etch, they still are bare, especially when you compare it to this. Look at all that junk in these weapons bays. These things are full of equipment and sensors and whatever it is. I really don't know, but they are stuffed with stuff. And this just doesn't replicate it without doing a lot of scratch building, which I wasn't prepared to do. I did a little bit, but I wasn't prepared to go that far. Overall, I'm happy with how they came out. I wish there was more detail, but in the overall scheme of things, with how much time this build took and how much of my soul it sucked out of me, which is why I think part of the reason it's taking so long to do this. It's just the build took forever. I didn't really want to finish it. I didn't really have the motivation to finish it. And now going through the footage and editing the footage together, it's kind of sucking that same mojo from me again, all over again. I'm reliving past traumas now, if you want to think of it that way. But I'm pushing through. We're pushing through. We're going to keep going. So let's talk about the weapons bays on the F-22 Raptor. The F-22 has 3 internal weapons bays. One large belly bay, which is really divided into 2, and then 2 smaller bays along the side of the fuselage. It also has the capability of 4 hardpoints on the wings that allows the carrying of typically extra fuel tanks when they're doing ferrying flights, but they can also have the capability to carry munitions on those hard points as well, although obviously sacrificing the stealthy components if they chose to go that route. Now, the main bay can accommodate 6 LAU 142-A launchers for the long-range beyond visual range missiles, or it can also be configured to carry 2 1,000-pound or 4 500-pound bombs. If it's carrying 2 1,000-pound bombs, it can also squeeze in 1 AMRAAM in each of those 2 main bays. Typically, the air-to-air loadout would be 6 AM-120Cs and 2 AM-9Ms or AM-9Xs. A typical missile launch from the F-22 only requires that the bay doors be opened for less than a second, with the whole process of opening the doors, ejecting the missile igniting, flying away, and door shutting takes seconds. In fact, the F-22 is capable of launching weapons throughout the airplane's entire flight envelope, as well as with roll rates up to 100 degrees per second. Now, the F-22 was designed for air dominance, for first look, first shot, first kill capability. And as such, it was designed to carry 6 AM-120C advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles, or AMRAAMs. It can carry the larger AM-120As, but it can only carry 4 of those because of their extended fins. Now, the launchers in the main bays, the launchers of those AMRAAMs, the LAU 142-As, they are both pneumatically and hydraulically actuated to launch the missiles out of the bay at more than 25 feet per second and over 40 Gs of force when throwing those missiles out. The F-22 bays, from pictures, the angles I've seen, you can kind of see these ribs in there, and they were there vaguely molded into the side of the side walls of the weapons bay. So I decided to use some styrene strips that I cut up and built up a little bit of a rib, just to add something, add some depth to the bays themselves. Along with the photo etch and the wiring, and I painted some of the wires. I didn't paint all the wires individually, but I painted some of them and just gave the whole thing a wash, an oil wash, just to dirty it up and add depth and contrast. In the end, it looks busy. It's not as busy as the actual thing, I believe, and it's probably a little bit more dirty than they actually are, although I've seen some pictures where they're absolutely pristine and some where they're just filled out. So just like the F-22 externals, which some are magically gorgeous and some are not, the same thing with the interior bays. Some are just pristine, some aren't, and that's just the way it is. So I went a little bit dirty route just because it adds a little busyness that I felt was missing. Now, with this photo etch stuff, I had played with photo etch a little bit before in a previous life, right, so to speak. I had mostly, though, it was all straight pieces, all flat surfaces, very little bending. If it was 90-degree angles or something like that. Very, very simple. Never had an issue with it until now, until this time, when I was really hoping for this to really make these bays pop. I struggled with the photo etch, and that's just my inexperience with it. And there was compound angles, and some of them were curved. On the launchers, they had some curved pieces. It was just a totally different ballpark than what I've been in. Plus, the fact that it was sized for a different model than what I was working on didn't help things. So it made things a little bit more difficult in certain areas. because now I'm having to shave off some of the photo etch to fit the piece, or it doesn't actually fit where they said it is with the instructions, and I'm having to make a guess on where it's going to go, that sort of thing. So it was a struggle. That was a struggle. As I went into the project, knowing that I was going to be doing photo etch work, one of the things I was looking at was a photo etch bender, which you can buy. And they're not terribly expensive. I think they're less than 20, like between $10 and $20, something like that. But regardless, they're not that expensive. But I was reading about them. I was trying to look, because there's different ones, and I was looking at which one, maybe the one I want to get. And pretty much everyone, what I was kind of reading was, yeah, they're great, but you don't need them. You can just use your knife blade, or you can use a straight edge. You can use a straight blade or something, and it can make anything that's straight and with the hard edge can make a curve. For curves, you can do the end of your paintbrush or a toothpick or any of these different things. There's all these different tricks, right, that you can use. And I'm like, yeah, of course I can do that. That's fine. I can do that. Great. Yes, you can do that. All those things are true. All those things are factual. Do you need to spend the money on it? No. Can you build a house with with a hammer, nails, and a saw? Yes. Is it nicer to build a house when you have power tools? Yes, it is. I feel the same thing is true here. Yes, you can do all these things without it, but when you have it, does it make your life easier? Is it going to make the job more enjoyable? Yes. Is that worth the $10 to $15 or whatever it is for it? In my case, yes. In everyone's else's cases, maybe not. Obviously not, because people were writing about it on the internet. You don't need that. You don't need that. Technically, you don't. But it makes your life, I would think it makes your life so much easier. I still haven't bought it. It's because I just don't have a project coming up that I have photo etch that I'm thinking of. So maybe I'm going to get one in the future. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe just knowing some things. I struggled a lot with it. I did struggle a lot with it. The other thing I struggled with was when I was bending the pieces and shaping them, especially there was a lot of pieces I had to make boxes. And if you look in the side bays, there's 2 boxes that are made out of photo etch, when really the side bay of the F-22 has like something like 5 or 6 boxes that you can actually see. I was making these boxes, and as I'm folding them, and it's flat, you fold it into a full 3D box, the pieces break. They break on the fold line. So at least nothing's like destroyed, but now I gotta glue it together. Or weld it. A lot of people weld their PE. I'm not going to go that far. I'm just going to use the glue. And I end up using a ton. Almost made myself pass out with how much CA glue I was using on this. So I don't know if it was necessarily more fragile, or I wasn't working with it properly, or was overworking it. I don't necessarily know what the problem was, but I did find in a bunch of times where I was folding a piece and then breaking the piece off, especially if I had to fold it in half or something like that, where it just did not work well for me and did not make the experience that enjoyable, and it doesn't make me want to work with it really again, unless I absolutely have to, or there's just something I just can't live without. If you notice, if you look carefully, I know it's kind of hard to get a real good image of things while everything's going in this hyper speed mode right now, but the instructions for the photo etch set were not very clear. They were not well put together. So I built the photo etch pieces, I glued in the photo etch pieces for the first side bay upside down, because I thought it was the left fuselage side bay, and it actually turned out to be the right fuselage side bay, so everything was backwards. I did not realize that until after I was done. I thought about pulling all the pieces off and switching it. In the end, I didn't. I left it, so the 2 bays are actually one bay, the right bay is correct, the left bay is incorrect. So one bay is correct and the other is not. The other thing I did as well is I built the first side bay with the photo etch before I decided to put in the styrene ribbing. Because of that, again, not wanting to pull. It was even before I knew I'd done it wrong. If I'd known I'd done it wrong then, I might have pulled it. But I didn't, and I didn't want to pull the photo etch off at that point. So I had to build some of the ribbing around the photo etch pieces. So in the left side bay, there's some pieces of ribbing that are actually missing compared to the right side bay because I had the equipment boxes in the wrong spot. Now, I'm going to keep this one short. I'm going to keep this one just to the weapons bays. Coming up, next time we're going to get the body work done, and then we're going to get the paint and get this F-22 looking like an F-22 finally. So join me next time for the next episode. I swear it's going to come out a lot faster. I swear, next episode, and join me next time for the continuing saga of the F-22 Raptor on Building History.